very important, you don't want to create your account on Apple, like through the app, the iOS store or anything like that. Make sure you go to our website. So that's id.land right here. And you're just going to go and click sign up in the top right. You'll create your account. And when you're putting in your billing information, you're going to see a place to put the discount code. That's the code that you're going to want to get from the Big Sky Country MLS group. And you're going to plug that in, and that's going to then give you the standard Land ID plan for free. And then just so you're aware, if you want to get one of our pro plans, that same discount code is going to apply 20% off of that pricing as well. So really good deal. You get that standard plan at no cost through your MLS. And if you decide you want to move to the pro plans, they're going to give you 20% off of those as well. Okay, so what we're going to focus on today is really laying down a solid foundation for how to start taking advantage of Land ID today. And, for us to take advantage of Land ID today, we first need to create that account and plug in the discount code. So that's why I wanted to start off with this. But let's get back into the fun stuff. And so I'm going to start on my phone because I think it's really important for everybody to understand that Land ID, it is a web and mobile application. So whether you're driving around, you can pull up the Land ID app on your phone or your tablet. And when you get back to your office or home, you can pull up your same Land ID account on your computer. And what's cool is they're synced together. So if you're creating a map on your phone or on your computer, you can pull that same map up and pick up where you started or where you left off, either on your phone or computer. So seamless kind of movement between your accounts on mobile and your computer. When I first open up the Land ID mobile app, and so what you're seeing on your screen right now is my phone, it's going to pull us to our Discover map. And so this is the application that you get from the Big Sky Country MLS at no cost. Is access to our standard plan, which gives you access to all of our wonderful property information. And you can access that plan. You see down at the bottom, you have this little navigation bar, and we're on the Discover map right now. Now, to the right of that are some other buttons like Shared Maps, My Maps, Profile. But everybody will have access to this Discover map. And you can see when I open it, it's going to show me in real time. It's going to give me the property boundaries, and then the labels are showing who is the owner of that property. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to an area in Bozeman to really start our tutorial example of how we can utilize Land ID. And I'm going to do that by tapping on the search address bar at the top of the screen. Here I can type in an address or a county or a town. We have more advanced searches on the web side of things. So on the web side, you can actually search by an owner name or owner address or a latitude, longitude. The searching by owner name is really convenient if you know somebody owns a bunch of properties in a county or counties. You can just plug in their name, the counties you want to search in, it'll go find all their properties for you. Really excited to be bringing that over to our mobile app in the coming months as well. So it won't be too long before you can do the search by owner and all that good stuff on our mobile app. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the first beginnings of a Bozeman address, and you can see as I start to type that in, it's going to give me suggestions below. I then tap on the appropriate one, which is that one at the top, and that's going to then zoom me over to that property, and that property is right there, the Ronald J. Wallace property. And when I tap on it, it's going to pull up our property info card. But real fast before I do that, if I want to move over to an aerial background instead of our outdoor background, I can do that by tapping on the little stack squares in the bottom right. So a lot of what capabilities you have on the mobile app, they're located in the bottom right. You can see that 3D button allows us to go into 3D on mobile. I'm going to tap on the stack squares. It's going to give me access to our overlays and base map, and I'm going to switch over to the aerial. Again, I just tap on the property I'm interested in learning more about, and you can see that highlights in blue. And below is our property info card. And so by default, we're going to start you on the parcel overview, and this is going to show us who owns the property, what is the property's address, the acreage, and then it'll give you a bit of information about the owner. So right here, we can see that the owner is actually, this isn't their primary residence. They actually live in El Paso. And this is one of the things that at Land ID we're really focused on. You'll see that we'll continue to turn the application into one of the best places for real estate professionals like yourselves to come and prospect for leads, to allow you to find properties, to then create compelling maps that you're then able to use for marketing purposes or communicating with clients or colleagues. So right here is a good example where we found an absentee owner, and you can see that his real address is in El Paso. We'll make that easier and easier for you to find. You can imagine in the future we'll allow you to just say, find a search and give me all of the people who don't have their primary residence here, for example. Below, we have three major categories. We have land information. This is going to show us, once again, acreage, the land use type, the parcel ID, the assessed property value. And we move down, now we're into parcel and tax information. And it's going to vary from property to property as to what we show you, but this is a good example of what can show up. Price sold for, mortgage amount, information about the mortgage, the last transaction, the title company. Something for you to be aware of in Montana. We know this is a non-reporting state. And so these are estimates on most of these for sale prices. And you can know if we consider it an estimate or not by this right here. It's either going to say estimated or not. If it doesn't have estimated there, that means we feel very confident that that is the actual price. But because you're in a non-reporting state, I live in Texas, so I'm in the same situation. I want to make everybody aware that pay attention to whether it says estimated or not, and it's reflecting all of this financial information above. Okay, so if we keep scrolling down, our third category on the parcel overview is our building information. This is where we're going to show you the details we have on any of the major structures that are on this property. So right here with our parcel overview, you can see we have a tremendous amount of information regarding who owns it, the land use type, the size of the property, financial information, and then information on any of the structures that exist. I'll pull this card back down, and this is where Land ID becomes really unique. We make it super easy for you to cycle through a variety of layers that are going to impact the desirability, the value of a property. And so if I move to the next category, you can see just to the right, we have water right here. And I'll zoom out just a little bit. And so what you're looking at here is all of the surface water. So any named river or creek, we're going to show you. Also intermittent streams, ponds and tanks, lakes, of course. We also have the FEMA floodplain. We're going to show you the 100-year, 500-year floodways, special consideration areas, and we're also going to make note when FEMA hasn't mapped it out yet. We also show you the wetlands, and I really like to point this out because you see this rarely in the wetlands, but I think this is pretty cool. Usually the wetlands are these little blue polka dot areas. Now you see around this, I think it's a creek or river, we actually have the kind of green and brown polka dots. Those are riparian zones from the National Wetland Inventory, and that's really, really important for to show the health and of that creek or river. So the fact that we have this in your area, I just want everybody to be aware of that, because riparian zones typically are very hard to define, but they're critically important to the health of the creek and really the health of the properties to maintain those riparian zones correctly. Now, another layer that we have for Montana is we have the water wells. So I'll turn those on, and you're going to see that now we show the water well location, and sometimes those can be generalized. But what we can do is we can tap on any water well, so we can tap on anything that we have on the map, and we now see information about that particular water well. Even better is you can see that report URL link. If I click that, that's going to take me to the Montana service that provides all of our water well data, and it's going to give you a really detailed report on that specific water well. So really easy for you to learn a really in-depth information about water wells through this card. If I keep moving, now I'm into outdoors. This is giving us information on elevation, public lands, high points, low points. So summits and gaps, if I zoom out, we can see the Drinking Horse Mountain. with its elevation above sea level just to the southeast of the property. A fun little story about why these high points, these summits and gaps exist. One of the most successful brokers in the nation is out of Colorado. And he asked me to add in these summits and gaps to the application, because what he does is when he's going out with prospective buyers, he pulls this up, takes a look at any of the peaks that are around him, and then he pretends like he automatically knew that. So he'll take a look at this, and then he'll be like, yeah, over to the southeast, you can see Drinking Horse Mountain. It's about 5,500 feet above sea level, and he says that it wows them every time. So that's part of the element that we can utilize with Land ID. Is we're focused on information that makes you look like the most informed professional for your market. And you shouldn't feel bashful about it. That is one of the most successful brokers in the nation at selling farms and ranches. He specifically asked me to put that in so he could do just that. So just a suggestion, you too should pretend like you know all the peaks in your area just by utilizing Land ID. If I keep moving, I'll go to boundaries. Here we're going to show you land use, and we kind of simplify that, boil it down to say residential, industrial, vacant, commercial, ag, and exempt. Something we're really excited to be adding soon is real zoning information, and I can tell you that our provider has the city of Bozeman's zoning information. So we're excited that at some point in the year of 2025, we'll be adding in true zoning, and Bozeman is included in that coverage. Below that, you can see we can turn on city limits, opportunity zones, school information, conservation easements, and I have another kind of fun story related to opportunity zones. You can see there is a rather large opportunity zone in the southwest part of Bozeman. And I was at a conference in Iowa last week, and we hear this kind of stuff all the time, but I thought this was cool, and it's something I just heard recently. We had one of our power users was in a breakout session, and this conference is focused on land investors. So he's in a room full of really big time land investors across the US, and the topic of opportunity zones came up. Well, he was unfamiliar with opportunity zones in general, but immediately went to his Land ID app because he figured we had it, and indeed we did. He pulled it up, and one of his newest listings was a farm in Iowa that's about 120 acres, and it was in an opportunity zone. Well, he raised his hand and he presented this to the class, let them know that he found one of his listings in that opportunity zone. And after that little breakout session was over, one of the investors that was in that class came and approached him and said, hey, look, just so you know, I'm looking for 600 more acres in that opportunity zone. Do you think you can find that for me? So just right there, his ability to pull up Land ID, by default, he assumed we already had that and bring that up. It not only will lead to him impressing his current seller that he's representing, because he's going to come back and tell the seller, hey, good news, your property's in an opportunity zone. Here are all the benefits. He actually gained a representation for a buyer to buy 5 times as many acreage as the current listing that he's representing in that opportunity zone. So just a really cool example of real world applications of how Land ID and the Land ID plan that you're getting can lead to getting more listings, to be making your listings more appealing for sale with the opportunity zones. And I think it's relevant because there is a sizable amount of Bozeman that is within an opportunity zone. Okay, so if I go back to reviewing the rest of our card, if we go back to soils, we can tap on any soil that's going to tell us more information about it. We go to infrastructure. What we're focused on with infrastructure right now is really energy. So oil wells, transmission lines, substation, railroads, airports, solar farms, wind farms. So it's going to be energy and transportation. And you can see we have a major transmission line substation running to the south of the property. Really important for us to know if one of those transmission lines or a railroad is running on or close to a property. Once again, it takes us a couple of minutes for us to run through this card on any property, but it's going to create talking points for us to have in presenting ourselves as people that have done our research, that really know the market and know that property. And what I like to say is within 2 minutes, if you go through this card, you utilize the standard Land ID plan, you're probably going to be able to tell that owner of that property a few interesting facts about their property that they've owned for several years that they're not aware of. And that leaves a really lasting and positive impression about you as a professional that should lead to you getting bigger and better listings. Our final category is our nearby. We're focused on points of interest, housing developments, and then public lands. I think for me, the most interesting layer here is our housing development. So you can see that little house there with a hammer. If you tap on that, what that's going to do is it's going to show you who's the main home builder there. You can go into the builder's website. You can actually go to the development website. And then sometimes we're even going to show you, what types of houses they're building, what's the price range, things like that. So this can be a really good indicator of where home builders are building and what that is doing. We're tracking the top, I believe, 150 home builders across the U.S. So it's going to be a major national home builder more than likely. That's putting that in. Okay, so you can see, once again, very easy for us, whether we're driving around on our with our phone or we're back at the computer, go find a property, to click on it, learn a whole lot about it. And that's really what that standard plan that you get from Big Sky Country MLS is going to allow you to do, which is really, really high value. And what I want to now show you is how you can take that standard plan and use it to create really compelling maps for marketing and communication. And you can do that through our Pro and Pro Unlimited plans. And remember, you get 20% off the Pro and Pro Unlimited plans through that same code with the Big Sky Country MLS. So if I come back to the Ronald Wallace property overview card here, you can see underneath his name, we have 3 buttons: create map, directions, and waypoints. So waypoints, that's almost a way to think of like favoriting properties on your Discover map, on your standard land ID map. And if I tap waypoint, that's going to allow me to take photos or add photos and write notes down below. So what's nice is that's going to drop a little red pen and it'd save your notes and any photos you put on that property. That way you're like, hey, I wonder, why did I mark that property? Tap on it, it's going to show you what you wrote about it. So you can think of that waypoint as a way for you to build like an internal database to keep track of properties that are on or off market that you're interested in kind of keeping track of. The directions option, this gives us directions from our current location out to the property. And you can see it's going to take our current location. I'm down in Austin right now, so it's going to take me a long time to get to this property. To get to the property, we use latitude, longitude. And I want to point that out because that's really important for us to realize, especially for the area that you all are in, where there might not be an address at all, or maybe you've had a scenario where you plug in the address, but it takes you to the property next door. Because we use latitude, longitude, it's basically impossible for you to go to the wrong property using our directions option. Finally, our create map option that you see there, that allows us to start creating that pro level map. And I'm going to do it, go ahead and tap that and hit create there. Okay, that's now moved us into our pro creation. And I'm going to jump over to the computer version of Land ID now. And so this is that same account. And like I told you at the beginning, the web and mobile versions of Land ID, they're synced together. So you'll see when I refresh my dashboard here, I'm going to see this map right there. Now, if I'm, just on the standard Land ID plan, I'm going to access that Discover map right up here. So you just click on that if you're on the standard Land ID plan. It's going to give you that same experience that we just went over on our phone. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click into this map that I just created on the phone. And I just want to give you a quick preview of what we can do on the pro level version of Land ID. So most of what we care about on the pro level version of Land ID is occurring down the left side of our screen. First, we have base maps, and really easy for us to cycle through and pick the best aerial. We even have infrared that can kind of give us indications of vegetation, vintage USGS, modern USGS that's focused on topo. I really like the aerial option. We also have Google as an option. There, the aerial option, it's usually my favorite, usually the most up-to-date and highest resolution. Below that are our overlays. So our overlays, this is where you can think of it's really kind of a la carte from our property card. So just like our phone, I can tap on any property. It's going to give me this little property card. I can cycle through, and we have the little categories and the tabs over here. So same thing that we just went through on the phone, but If, let's say I just wanted to come over here and I wanted to turn on contours and I wanted to go 3D in the bottom right. Now, I don't have to necessarily tap on the property to be able to do that. But this is a really, good indication. And sometimes I'll turn off the parcel layer, and I do that up in the top right just to turn off the noise and allow me to focus on the theme of the map that I want to create. And right now it's all about 3D and contours. So, it doesn't get much better as far as understanding the elevation changes is to do that combination of contours with 3D. Once again, you can turn 3D on your phone and your tablet as well on our mobile app. But I just want to point that out. That is what the overlays allow you to do, is to take all of that wonderful data that's in our property information card and then be able to turn those layers on a la carte right there. Map features, that's just showing us what we currently have added to the map. So right now we just added a boundary, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this map beyond our boundary. Something that I'll make note of is, a lot of times the map can be an afterthought for a listing. And I'm going to show you to close a lot of great examples of listings in your area by people that you probably know, certainly developments and companies that you're aware of that are already utilizing Land ID and creating really high detailed maps. And the way we think about this is we want to make sure that the story that we're telling in that listing page carries through to the map, and the map actually enhances that story and that understanding of the property. And right now, with most listings, there's a great disconnect between the map and all of the listing content. I think we're all aware, like you go to a listing, you see the write-up and you got the photos and the video, and then you go to the map and it's just a kind of a Google Street Map and it's got a point there. And when somebody goes into that map, they lose all the context of the write-ups and everything. So we want to, we think of it that way, of where we want to make sure that all the content, all the important stuff that you took the time to write out and to take pictures of shows up on the map, and it shows up in that spatial context to make it even more understandable, more compelling to people that are thinking about buying that property. And it's really easy for us to do that. We can go through our feature palette over here, and we have all these different kinds of sets. So ranching, oil and gas, urban icons, and the best way to think of all of this is they're just suggestions. We can change the name and the color on any of these to fit the theme of the map that we want to create. It's super easy for us to build a detailed map, to take this map beyond just the boundary. All we're going to do is, if I just want to use the standard stuff, the main house, I just click on it, move it into the map, and click where I want to place it. So I'll place it right off to the main house. Same thing with the barn. So I'll put it right there, just click. So really, really fast for us to do that. Let's say I wanted to change this house icon to guest house. I'll place it on the map. I'm going to hover over it, click on it, and then I have this little edit bar up here. I always go to the pencil to change the name and color on anything I've added to the map, and it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to rename it, hit save changes. 99% of the time, you're going to want to choose that top option we've already selected for you. Save as new feature type. When you hit that, you'll see that it's going to create a new item in your feature palette called guest house. That's really convenient. If we needed to mark other guest houses, we've now got one made, and you can see it's now changed that item to a guest house. Just to show you, once again, how easy that is to do, let's take this shed shack and let's mark it up here, and let's call this the equipment barn. Save changes, save as new feature type, boom. We now have an equipment barn. The other cool thing to be aware of is any of these polygons. So below our points, we have lines, and below our lines, we have polygons. I can, in any of these polygons, if I draw, they're going to give me acreage. So if I drew this horse corral out, I would just hit the center, pull it out. It's a pivot. I'll click on it just like before, go to the pencil, rename it. I never can remember if it's 2 R's or 2 L's. Apologize if I misspelled. I'll hit save changes, save as new feature type. Boom, now we have a horse corral. Let's do the pond tank here. I think this would be a big selling feature. The other benefit to doing this that I hear all the time is our Land ID pros will create these maps before they go and try to get the listings. And what this does is it really informs them about the features on the property that they're going to want to market. And this is a good example right here. This is probably a stocked fishing pond. And you can see when we're drawing this out, it's showing us the acreage, the size of this. So this is, once again, like I was referring to with the standard Land ID plan, you have that wealth of information at your fingertips, both on your phone and your computer. You can learn so much and present yourself as a professional for what's going on in that property and around that property. Same thing here. I now know we have about a quarter acre pond tank. I could come here, rename it. And that would be something then I would bring up to the owner and say, it looks like you have a quarter acre. I went and measured that out beforehand. Same thing with the lines, fencing. I can measure out the interior fences really quickly and easy. It's at this point during the presentation, as I'm making these maps, where I feel like, on my business card, I should just change it to the Bob Ross of map making. This is where I'm like, happy little fence lines. This is about the time where I feel that way. Partly because if you can't tell, I genuinely think it's fun to map this stuff out. It's informative, and you can see that, as I'm mapping this out, it's starting to give me the distance for this particular line, but it's also giving me the distance for all of the interior fence lines. So this becomes another data point that I can bring up to the owner to help show what is the extent of improvements that are on this property. The other thing that's really interesting as I draw these out, and by the way, I mean, I don't even think we're 5 minutes into making this map. So that's the best part about this bargain is most of the time take you like 15 minutes to do this, and think about what this means for increasing your odds of getting these listings. Does 15 minutes to increase the odds of you getting a $8 million listing, is that worth the 15 minutes? I think everybody would hopefully agree that yes, it is. And for the most part, you're talking about 15 minutes of work to increase your odds to get, a $15 million listing. It's a no-brainer, right? The other cool thing is, as I draw this stuff out, I'm starting to get a better idea of how that property is managed. And so I'll be done after I draw this part out, but just drawing out the fence lines, it helps you understand how is that property divided up, which gives you an indication of how is it currently being used, how is it currently being managed. Once again, it leads to having intelligent conversations with the landowner and showing that you've done your homework. So we're at, I believe, less than 5 minutes here. We've built a really compelling map. We could then come up to reports and create a soil report. So now we can break down the soils just for this property. It'll show us the soils, the percent it occupies, the NCCP value. So once again, it gives us a lot more information about the soils here. Now, once we've created this map, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it down in the bottom left. At this point, I could click on print area. I could create a high resolution print map, PNG or PDF for marketing purposes. I can also share this as an interactive map, so I could embed this into websites. And just to show you a few of those, so Callie Pecunis out of Big Sky, she's been utilizing us for over a year. You can see she has a property, a rather complex property that she has an embed in. If we go full screen here, that's going to open up her full share map. And this is what Callie is able to use for marketing, for communication. And what an advantage for a really complex property like this, where it's really important for her to be able to tell the story of this property by showing its relation to state lands, its runway, the main house, all the improvements. So Callie has done a wonderful job in utilizing Land ID, utilizing our pro level map creation to be much more effective at telling the story of this listing beyond just the write-up and the photos. A map really, it's the same thing that a picture says 1,000 words. A map says at least 1,000 words in regards to people understanding this property. Here's another one, Fay Ranches. They'll have embeds at the bottom of all of their listings right here, and more in farm and ranch, but figure is applicable since they're in the neighborhood with you all. So if I go back, it's really easy for you to utilize our embeds to embed into your own website. We use iframes. Happy to help you all make sure you get that into your listing template if that's something you're interested in. And then copy link. This just allows us to send that share map off to prospective buyers, to clients, things like that. And if you want to see what that's going to look like before we send it off, we can hit this preview map button and see exactly what that's going to look like. So, when I send this off to somebody, I can see that everything's functioning. I've got the soil report in there. just like I want. And once again, I can see what that experience looks like before I send it off to somebody. Just to kind of finish this off, if I go ahead and save, and then I'm going to finish this off with a few real world examples of maps. But I want to, before I do that, I want to come back to our mobile app, because once again, it's synced together, right? So you can see that in the bottom of our screen, I'm off of the Discover map and I've clicked on My Maps, and that's the header of our map. If I click into it, there's all the updates we just did on our computer. So you can see that seamless transition from being on the go to being back in your office. Doesn't matter, the map's going to pick up where you left off. Two real fast things I want to show you regarding the pro level on mobile that I think are really high value. They're located in that blue button in the bottom right, the little pencil and ruler. If I tap on that, the photo option, that is the most high impact thing that you can add to a map. And it's the easiest thing for you to do when you're out on site. If you tap that photo icon, it's going to take you into your photo, your camera on your device. You can take up to 5 photos at a time. It'll drop those photos with a photo point right where you're standing on your map and save it. And then anybody on your share map, when they click on that, they're going to be able to see those photos. They're going to know right where you stood. I think that's one of the most compelling things you can do, is to show people where you took those photos, to give them that spatial context. Then if you're on larger properties, you can see the tracking functionality towards the bottom. If you tap that, that'll draw a line out as you drive around or walk around. So a really cool real world example of how those are utilized is, we've got this map right here. This is an agent in your area, Jason Carrico, and he used the tracking functionality of Land ID to help him draw out the route for the ski in, ski out of this particular property that he had listed for sale. You can see what he's done is he's also mapped out the lifts and the amenities. So now somebody knows where they can ski in and ski out of this property, the lifts that they'll take, going down to the Montage or Spanish Peaks. You can really think of it this way, where the map is essentially, it's like staging for the outdoors, for the amenities around that property that warrant the price that you're asking for. A lot of times, especially in the area you all sell in, the story of the property, it's as much about the property itself as its relationship to being next to a national park, or being next to a chairlift, ski in, ski out. And just like with staging, people have a hard time visualizing this. And what Jason found was, just because he mentioned that it was a ski in, ski out in the listing, people still had a hard time kind of grokking what that meant. When he created this map and was able to show exactly where one skied in and skied out using the tracking tool on our mobile app, it was a property that sat on the market for several years. He created this map, and I believe it closed within 2 months after the map. Now, that's not to say, like, do I believe that the map is 100% credit? No, Jason's a very smart guy and very savvy and good at marketing. But I think if he was here today, he would tell you without a doubt that the map that created for this property, it helped him be 100 times more effective at telling the story of why this property was going to sell for this price. And it wasn't necessarily about the property itself. It was its proximity to all of these really high-end, really appealing amenities surrounding the property. Just a shout out to a few other groups. So, we have certainly Sotheby's Big Sky with Callie's group that has been utilizing this for a while. Big Sky Real Estate, Outlaw, Hall and Hall, Fay Ranches. We recently did all of the listings for the Yellowstone Club, and I just want to show you a few examples, because once again, they're not farms and ranches, and I think it's really cool for you all to see how that gets applied. Once again, it's the exterior views, right? To be able to show, hey, where was this picture taken? To show the building envelope, so people know where can they build structures. What's the distance to the Warren Miller Lodge? Your ability to add in the photos, the videos, all of that good stuff. So you can see we have a Vimeo overview. We actually have the full print map versions, the full brochures added as documents. So, what I tell people all the time is, when you're making these really high-end interactive maps, you're really creating your virtual listing package. Everything that you put into your listing, it goes into the map, and it helps enhance the story of the listing. It's not a disconnected experience where somebody has to then bounce back to the listing to kind of get context. Just another example right here. Here we have the video playing. Pictures, building envelope. So we have a lot of experience creating maps. Here's another map that we just created for Jason Carrico. And once again, you can see the theme of these maps obviously are about the property for sale, but what we want to make sure is people get that spatial context to the relationship of all the amenities around that property. It's going to be really, really appealing to buy that property knowing you can walk to all of those things. Just another example. Okay, so
just a time, Steve.
Yeah, I know. I'm notorious, and Erica is always the person. Let me just figure out how to stop sharing my screen so we don't get the eternal screen share. Okay, that does it for us. I just want to finish with a few resources for everybody. Once again, make sure you contact the Big Sky Country MLS to get your discount code. Make sure that you create your account through our website, not through the App Store or the Play Store. And then another thing that I'll mention is if your group is interested in maybe having us make maps like we did for the Yellowstone Club with any of your existing listings. I know it can kind of be daunting if you have 100 listings and you want to have the land ID maps for all of them. We have a custom map service that we're more than happy to give you really no-brainer pricing to kind of do you think of it as a way to launch land ID to train up your staff to be able to take new listings and build compelling maps. We can help you do that heavy lift to make sure you get land ID maps for all of your existing listings. The final thing I will mention is the other thing that's unique is we are local to you all. So we're happy to do in-person training, and if you want, you can reach out to us at support@id.land or even directly to our Director of Sales, Vlad, VLAD, at id.land. And he'd be happy to come to your office to do a one-on-one presentation and talk about things that you're interested in learning more about with land ID. With that being said, I'm well aware I'm probably over time, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Are there any questions or comments, Erica, that I need to answer?
You know, chat has been hopping. I'm trying to stay on top of it. If you want to read through it a minute, I do have some details on the discount code that I want to make sure everyone gets. Vlad is unfortunately sick, so he couldn't be here, but he was able to pin down these details so we could share them with you who are taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend the webinar. So like Steve said, you'll want to sign up directly at id.land, our website. Do not go through the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store because we can't offer discounts via those channels at this time. So buy directly through ID or go directly to id.land, and you're going to pick the land ID plan. That's the one that lets you do all the property research. And you can use this promo code here. It's the same for everyone. So you can go ahead and do that today, even right now. You don't need to contact Mike for these details. You can all use this promo code. Now, if you're interested in the mapping capabilities that Steve covered toward the end of the webinar, you'll want to be on one of our Land ID Pro plans. Again, sign up at id.land. You'll want to sign up there. You can get a 20% discount that the MLS has worked out. So that one's not free, but you still get a great discount. And to take advantage of that plan, you'll want to contact Vlad, VLAD, at id.land. And he can get you hooked up there with the discount code. Or if you're already on a trial, or a plan, he can help move you over. So we'll include those details here. How's the Q&A going, Steve? Is there any I'm missing? You can circle back here.
It's good. It's hard for me to tell what you answered, but if you give me 2 minutes, I think I can answer most of these. So real fast, anybody that has an existing land ID subscription, just reach out to us at support@id.land, and we'll be happy to make sure your billing gets canceled and you get that application of the discount over. That's quick and easy. We just need to know, referencing Lisa. And then there was a few questions of saying like, hey, our current plan, it doesn't offer map creation. That is correct. Now, I'll mention something that I can't give you a timeline on, but we are actively considering a version of Land ID that isn't too terribly more expensive than what our standard Land ID plan is, that will allow map creation. That's more intended for like private sharing. So it's like client to client. That's not necessarily like embedding things like that. That I would expect to come out later this year. So we know that there's a big kind of ocean between the pricing on the Pro plan and the standard Land ID plan. And we do want you all out there making really awesome, compelling maps. Just sit tight. At some point this year, you'll have an option that I think you're going to like a lot with that. In the meantime, what we try to do is give you that discount on the Pro plans, kind of bring that price down if you do need to make those types of maps. And as far as like all of the data goes, I saw a question about easement, things like that. All of the data that we have, that right now shows up in our standard plans, things like that. Okay. Is there also a link that targets the embedding? Tara, I'm not sure quite what that means. In the share options on you have three options, and one of them is embed. It runs off the iframe option. I would just say like, we'd love for you to embed. It's super easy for you to add that as a template to your listing page. If you're interested in learning more, just reach out to, you can reach out to Vlad. You can reach out to support. We'd be happy to provide kind of that concierge touch to make sure that you're able to add that into your website if that's something you want to do. Okay. If I didn't answer your question, I apologize. I'm already way over time, so I I don't want to keep you longer than I already have. We would love to answer any questions that you have, though, if you want to reach out to us on our support at 844-932-6277, or that support at id.land. We very much want you all to get the most out of Land ID, and happy to do one-on-one demos, in-person demos, anything like that. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for your time. Have a great day, and we look forward to supporting you on your Land ID journey.
Thank you, everybody.